Today is April 3rd, 2025. This is Read Through the Bible.
Hi, everyone.
And we're back at Leviticus. You are back for another day.
This is day 2 of Leviticus.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how many days it's going to take to go through Leviticus. We're going to be here about 4 weeks or so.
Mm-hmm.
And but you all can make it. We're going to help you through to finish Leviticus by reminding you of at least two things. One is, don't sweat the small stuff.
And the other is, you shall be holy, for I, the Lord, am holy.
That is the theme of Leviticus. We're going to see that. And the whole deal is we have sinned, and so we need a sacrifice in order to atone for our sins, in order to be made holy, to stand before the Lord. And so yesterday we looked at the chapter 1 burnt offering, and then chapter 2, the grain offering, and chapter 3, the peace offering. Now I wish chapters 4 and 5 broke down simply like this, but I would encourage you to memorize them or to know them. Chapter 4 is the sin offering, and chapter 5 is the guilt offering. And that doesn't quite break down quite like that, because it's actually 4 and a lot of 5 is the sin offering, and then the guilt offering is end of 5 and beginning of 6. So, but that's sort of the easy way to maybe just...
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah,
So simplify it.
Okay, so we're going to look at the sin offerings and just kind of sit back, relax, and listen to us as we read through this text for you. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel, saying, if anyone sins," and that's the sin offering, "unintentionally in any of the Lord's commandments about things not to be done, and does any one of them, if it is the anointed priest who sins, thus bringing guilt on the people, then he shall offer for the sin that he has committed a bull from the herd without blemish to the Lord for a sin offering. He shall bring the bull to the entrance of the tent of meeting before the Lord, and lay his hand on the head of the bull, and kill the bull before the Lord. And the anointed priest shall take some of the blood of the bull, and sprinkle it into the tent of meeting, and the priest shall dip his finger in the blood, and sprinkle part of the blood 7 times before the Lord in front of the veil of the sanctuary. And the priest shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of the fragrant incense before the Lord, that is in the tent of meeting, and all the rest of the blood of the bull he shall pour out at the base of the altar of the burnt offering, that is, at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And all the fat of the bull of the sin offering he shall remove from it, the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that's on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys with the fat that is on them at the loins, and the long lobe of the liver that he shall remove with the kidneys, just as these are taken from the ox of the sacrifice of the peace offerings. And the priest shall burn them on the altar of burnt offering, but the skin of the bull, and all its flesh, with its head, its legs, its entrails, and its dung, and all the rest of the bull, he shall carry outside the camp to a clean place, to the ash heap, and shall burn it up on a fire of wood. On the ash heap it shall be burned up. So here's a sin for a priest and what he does, and just emphasis here upon the blood being sprinkled, and just even the author to the Hebrews says, without the shedding of blood, there's no forgiveness of sins. Kind of gets to this idea of the sacrifice of animals are needed when someone sins.
Okay. So now, verse 13 says, if the whole congregation of Israel sins unintentionally, so before this we were dealing with an individual, specifically a priest, and now it's if the whole congregation of Israel sins unintentionally, and the thing is hidden from the eyes of the assembly, and they do any one of the things that by the Lord's commandments ought not to be done, and they realize their guilt, when the sin which they have committed becomes known, the assembly shall offer a bull from the herd for a sin offering, and bring it in front of the tent of meeting. And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands on the head of the bull before the Lord, and the bull shall be killed before the Lord. Then the anointed priest shall bring some of the blood of the bull into the tent of meeting, and the priest shall dip his finger in the blood, and sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord in front of the veil. And he shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar that is in the tent of meeting before the Lord, and the rest of the blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar of burnt offering that is at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And all its fat he shall take from it, and burn on the altar. Thus he shall do with the bull. As he did with the bull of the sin offering, so shall he do with this. And the priest shall make atonement for them, and they shall be forgiven. And he shall carry the bull outside of the camp and burn it up as he burned the first bull. It is the sin offering for the assembly.
Yep. And one of the things you notice here is that almost the same procedure is taking place, whether it's the priest or it's the whole congregation, in terms of people laying their head upon the bull and bringing the blood and sprinkling it before the veil and preserving all the fat. And then also, just at the end, it speaks about how the priest shall make atonement for them.
And they shall be forgiven.
And they shall be forgiven. Now, one little subtle note here is making atonement. The word is kafer, which you can kind of think about cover. And that's what it means here to atone, kind of like to wash it over, to cover it over, right? To slide it under the mat. And how different that is than the blood of Jesus, which takes away sin. It says in Hebrews chapter 10 that the blood of bulls can never take away sins. There's like a little subtle difference there. It can be covered, and you can be forgiven, and you can experience a relationship with the Lord, but it's just covered to be dealt with later.
Well, that's why they have to keep doing sacrifices over and over.
Because just covered, it's not taken away. Okay, so we've seen the priest sins, the whole congregation. Now we see a leader. When a leader sins, doing unintentionally any one of the things that by the commandments of the Lord his God ought not to be done, and realizes guilt, or the sin which he has committed is made known to him, he shall bring as his offering a goat, a male without blemish, and he shall lay his hand on the head of the goat and kill it in the place where they kill the burnt offering before the Lord. It is a sin offering. Then the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour out the rest of its blood at the base of the altar of the burnt offering. And all its fat he shall burn on the altar, like the fat of the sacrifice of the peace offerings. So the priest shall make atonement for him for his sin, and he shall be forgiven.
Verse 27, if any one of the common people sins unintentionally in doing any one of the things that by the Lord's commandment ought not to be done, and realizes his guilt, or the sin which he has committed is made known to him, he shall bring for his offering a goat, a female without blemish, for his sin which he has committed. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering and kill the sin offering in the place of the burnt offering. And the priest shall take some of its blood with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour out all the rest of its blood at the base of the altar. And all its fat he shall remove, as the fat is removed from the peace offerings. And the priest shall burn it on the altar for a pleasing aroma to the Lord. And the priest shall make atonement for him, and he shall be forgiven.
Yep. Okay.
So now that's the common people.
Yes. And again, I want to just remind you, don't even these details you don't have to worry about. Just a chapter summary of sin offering would be fine.
Right. Other than, I think, just tuning in while you're listening or reading, and like it can all kind of blur together. So just pointing out some of the differences here.
Yep. If he brings a lamb as his offering for a sin offering, he shall bring a female without blemish, and lay his hand on the head of the sin offering, and kill it for a sin offering in the place where they killed the burnt offering. Then the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and put it on the horns of the altar of the burnt offering, and pour out all the rest of its blood at the base of the altar. And all its fat he shall remove, as the fat of the lamb is removed from the sacrifice of peace offerings. And the priest shall burn it on the altar on top of the Lord's food offerings. And the priest shall make atonement for him and for the sin which he has committed, and he shall be forgiven. Okay. That's the end of chapter 4.
Yep.
But again, I think don't sweat the small stuff. And even though sin offerings continue on, I think even you can put sin offerings, and maybe chapter 5 sin offerings continued, and then guilt offerings. You can do that if you want to be real technical, but again, these are just different sorts of offerings.
Right. Okay. Chapter 5. If anyone sins in that he hears a public adjuration to testify, and though he is a witness, whether he has seen or come to know the matter, yet does not speak, he shall bear his iniquity. Or if anyone touches an unclean thing, whether a carcass of an unclean wild animal, or a carcass of unclean livestock, or a carcass of unclean swarming things, and it is hidden from him, and he has become unclean, and he realizes his guilt, or if he touches human uncleanness, of whatever sort the uncleanness may be, with which one becomes clean, and it is hidden from him, when he comes to know it and realizes his guilt, or if anyone utters with his lip a rash oath to do evil or to do good, any sort of rash oath that people swear, I'm just thinking of a rash oath in Judges, Jephthah's vow.
Yeah, he should have sacrificed here. We'll read about that.
He should have done this. Anyway, Okay, verse 4. Or if anyone utters with his lips a rash oath to do evil or to do good, or any sort of rash oath that people swear, and it is hidden from him, when he comes to know it and realizes his guilt in any of these, when he realizes his guilt in any of these and confesses the sin he has committed, He shall bring to the Lord, as his compensation for the sin that he has committed, a female from the flock, a lamb or a goat, for a sin offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him for his sin.
But if he cannot afford a lamb, he shall bring to the Lord as his compensation for the sin that he has committed 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. He shall bring them to the priest, who shall offer first the one for the sin offering. He shall wring its head from its neck, but shall not sever it completely. And he shall sprinkle some of the blood of the sin offering on the side of the altar, while the rest of the blood shall be drained out at the base of the altar. It's a sin offering. Then he shall offer the second, that is, the second dove or turtle dove or pigeon. He shall offer the second for a burnt offering according to the rule, and the priest shall make atonement for him for the sins he has committed, and he shall be forgiven.
Verse 11, but if he cannot afford 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, then he shall bring as his offering for the sin that he has committed 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour for a sin offering. He shall put no oil on it, and shall put no frankincense on it, for it is a sin offering. And he shall bring it to the priest, and the priest shall take a handful of it as its memorial portion, and burn this on the altar and the Lord's food offerings. It is a sin offering. Thus the priest shall make atonement for him for the sin which he has committed in any one of these things, and he shall be forgiven. And the remainder shall be for the priest, as in the grain offering.
Okay, so now we're going to transition. The ESV heading says here, laws for guilt offerings. So we're going to transition from the sin offering to the guilt offering. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, if anyone commits a breach of faith and sins unintentionally in any of the holy things of the Lord, he shall bring to the Lord as his compensation a ram without blemish out of the flock, valued in silver shekels, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, for a guilt offering. He shall also make restitution for what he has done amiss in the holy thing, and shall add 1/5 to it, and give it to the priest. And the priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of the guilt offering, and he shall be forgiven.
Continue to have that pattern of make atonement, and he shall be forgiven.
Yep.
Okay, verse 17. If anyone sins doing any of the things that by the Lord's commandment ought not to be done, though he did not know it, then he realizes his guilt, he shall bear his iniquity. He shall bring to the priest a ram without blemish out of the flock, or its equivalent, for a guilt offering, and the priest shall make atonement for him for the mistake that he made unintentionally, and he shall be forgiven. It is a guilt offering. He has indeed incurred guilt before the Lord.
Okay. Don't sweat the small stuff. You need to be holy, so that's why we need sacrifices. That's the point of Leviticus.
Yep. So chapter 5 was guilt offerings.
Yep.
And some sin offerings.
Yeah, sin offerings first and then guilt offerings later. So we have burnt offerings and grain offerings and peace offerings and sin offerings and now guilt offerings. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.